All right, good morning, everybody, and happy Wednesday. As a reminder, my name is Kalli, and if you haven't been watching our videos already this week, or if you just forgot, as a little reminder, this week's theme is zoo animal theme. So today, for my craft, I will be creating a Z is for zebra craft. So not only will we be making a zebra, but we will be making a zebra in the shape of the letter Z. So without any further ado, I will just jump right into the craft. So for this, there's really only a handful of things that you will need. You will need paper for your zebra. I'm going to be using white paper for the base of my zebra. And then I am using black paper for the stripes. If you don't have black paper available, you could always take a marker and color some white paper. As well, you will need a scissors to cut out some stripes for that black paper, a pencil as a guideline for your Z shape, and lastly, some googly eyes and some glue. The googly eyes are kind of optional. If you don't have them available, you could just glue them. Instead of gluing them down, you could just take a black marker and do it that way instead. But I will be using googly eyes today. And then as for glue, I am using liquid tacky glue, but you can use a glue stick or anything else that you have available. This is just what I had on hand today. But we can just jump right in. So as I said, we are making a zebra in a Z shape. So the first thing that we will do for that is I will go over how we will create our Z shape and kind of make it a little bit easier for you guys. So I'm going to rip out one piece of paper. And I don't know if this might happen, but because I'm using my front camera, to you guys, it might look like my Z is backwards, but just know that when you are doing it, draw it how you regularly would write a Z. So I will kind of face you guys down so you can see what I am doing, just like that. Alright, so we are going to be doing a bubble or box lettered Z. It's kind of up to you and what you prefer. But if you need help kind of drawing that out and you don't know what to do, the first thing that we're going to do is very, very lightly, we are going to draw a Z. So you're just going to go across the top of your paper, down at an angle, and then across the other side of your paper. So very, very lightly here, we drew our Z. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to follow around that with a bubble or a box letter. It's really up to you. I'm going to do more of a bubble letter, so it's going to have more rounded edges rather than square boxy edges. And we want to make it a bit thicker than what we just created for our Z. Alright, so as you can see, you just did a little bubble around our Z shape, and you can always go back and touch it up. And the last thing that I am going to do is I'm just going to erase that Z on the inside, as that was just kind of a guideline. That's why I do recommend using a pencil that has an eraser, because then you can kind of go back and fix anything that you don't want there anymore. You can obviously go back and touch up and change your Z as much as you would like. I like how mine turned out, so we can just leave it like this. But I'll show you what the other end would look like. So the other option for the ends of your Z would be to box it off like this, but I'm just going to leave mine round. So the next step is to take our scissors and we will just cut around the line. I'm going to cut a little bit on the inside of the line. Normally I don't do that, but because I can't flip this due to it being a letter, I'm just cutting on the inside of the line so we don't have any pencil marks or anything that will show up. Alright, so this is how far I am. I'm just going to keep going around. Alright, so I have cut out the Z, and the last thing I'm going to do is kind of just trim up the edges. So this one kind of got a little bumpy, so I just cleared that up a tiny bit. But here is our letter Z, and from here we will be making the stripes. So what I will be doing for the stripes is I will be taking a black piece of paper, and then we will be cutting it into longer strips and then into shorter strips. So I'm just going to start out by cutting my black paper into these long strips. They're a little bit thicker than like finger length, but that is kind of how I'm going by it. And then I'm just going to measure directly onto the Z. So as you can see, I'm just going to hold my Z up right here. And then I'm just going to cut the strip a little bit above where I want it. And then we will glue it down. So you could obviously cut your strips all at once and then glue them down later. I'm just going to do it as we go. So I'm going to put glue directly onto the paper. As well, you could just put it onto the black, but I'm just going to put it down on the paper, and then we'll stick it down. So I kind of have it overlapped, as you can see from the back. It kind of looks like that. So I kind of overlapped the black onto the Z, but I think that looks good. If you don't like that, obviously you could change that. Alright, again, I'm just going to go directly down onto the paper for gluing. And we'll stick that down. If you are using liquid glue, remember dot does a lot. Stick down another one. You could also always measure out in between your stripes to make them more even, but I'm just going to be kind of eyeballing them. I also am not making them all equal length. I don't know if you can see here, but they're kind of all a different length, but I think that looks fine. It also kind of gives it some character. So I'm just going to continue with this, obviously cutting out that long strip and then measuring from there. Alright, so I'll show you again. We just put glue onto the Z, and then we'll glue down our little black strip. I'm going to kind of push it down. And there you have it. So I'm just going to continue from there, and as you can see, I've kind of gotten to the first corner of the Z. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting these strips at kind of an angle. So I'm going to start at this bottom corner. Place some glue down. Show you what that looks like right there, that line of glue. And then we'll put down our strip. So you can kind of take the corners in any direction you want. You could keep going straight like that, but I switched to diagonal. And then that piece isn't long enough, so I'm going to continue to cut these. I'm going to try to measure it out best I can. But I am making these longer because I like it, but as well as if you're not really into the kind of overlapping look, how long I have made my strips, you could just make them all long until the very end. And then you can kind of go in and trim up the ends as much as you'd like. Alright, so as you can see, I got to this corner, and now this is what the transition looks like. I think it looks fine. Some people might not like it, but that is obviously your choice. And if you don't want to use liquid glue, it is much easier to use a stick glue, but I didn't have one available at home, so that is why I'm using liquid glue. But if you have one of those, that might work a little bit better. Again, we're just cutting those strips. I don't know if you haven't seen, but I haven't been using all of my strip because sometimes I get down to it and I have this much left, and so I don't have any room for it. This one was a little bit too short for what I'm using, but I might go back and use it on the top. Same with this one. I might go back and use it on the top. I'm going to just continue going through, measuring them out as I go, and then gluing down. So I guess I didn't really get to show you at that time. I'll show you what my glue looks like right now, and then I'll show you what I do. So here's that little glue strip. So normally what I do when I am gluing, especially something like this, so what I do is I kind of place a dot down where I want it, and then I just take the top portion of the glue stick, don't squeeze anything out, and I just kind of move that glue dot all around. So then it ends up looking like that. Alright, so if you can see this one over here, this one's really long, so at the end I am going to go back and trim that one up. But for now I'm just going to leave it because that's alright. Alright, so we're almost done with this diagonal portion, and then from there we'll move on to the top again. So for the top, what you want to do is you do want to leave some room because we will be creating a little face over here. So I would say the first a little bit over an inch or so you do want to leave blank, just because it makes it easier to see the strips of black that we'll be putting down. So I'm going to put only a few strips of black up, but it is totally up to you on what you would prefer. Oops. I dropped a strip on the ground. Alright, so I think I'm only going to do one more. And then we're going to leave the entire front space for the face, so I'll show you what that looks like once I stick this strip down. Alright, so right now, this is what our Z looks like. So we have every area kind of filled out except for this top part. And if you don't like anything, you can go back. I might go down and put a stripe down here, just because it might kind of tie it together a little bit more. Might do that. Might make it just a little bit more cohesive. So there's that down there. Just gonna wait for that to dry a little bit. But okay, so the next step for this is we want to create the face. So all we are going to be doing for the face is gluing down the eye, gluing down a little mouth portion, and gluing on an ear. So for the eye, obviously I said at the beginning of this video I will be using googly eyes, but if you don't have googly eyes available, you can always just draw in your eye. So again, I'm going to go down with my glue. I'm going to place the tiniest dot, and then I'm just going to drop my googly eye right on top of that. And I'm going to push down, and then I'm just going to give it time to dry. So I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to give it some time to dry. And then the last two things we need is we need the mouth kind of nose portion, and we need the ear. So for the mouth portion, you just want to create a half circle. Alright, so I need to make that a little bit bigger. Just like this, and then we're going to glue it down to the front of the face. So I'll show you where I'm placing my glue right now. So I'm placing it right in front of this little eyeball, and then I'm just going to stick this down right on top. And then I didn't bring any markers. Obviously, I said that you didn't have to. You can kind of create a little nostril and a mouth if you'd like. So I'll just show you what that looks like with the pencil. Obviously, if you went in with a white crayon or white marker, it might be a lot cuter. But as you can see, I just added that little nose and that little mouth. And then lastly, as I said, you want to create that ear. So I'm just going to create a very large triangle, and then a very large triangle in the black, and then I'm going to make a smaller triangle in the white, like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the white triangle down. So I'm going to put some glue onto this white triangle here, and then we are going to stick it down. And then once that is all glued, we will be gluing this right down to the top. So I'm just going to put a line of glue right along the top here. I'll show you what I mean. So just right along the top, and then I'm going to glue right down with that ear. So it does kind of overlap, and this activity is a little bit more abstract-y, but that is what I like about it, because you kind of can make it your own, and there's really only a few things that you need, especially things that are easy to find around your house. As I said in the beginning, even if you don't have black paper, you can always take some white paper and just color that black. But so as you can see, this is our final product. Just a cute little zebra, as well as in the shape of a Z. So like I said before, you can go back. I'll just show you. If you want to shorten these up, all you have to do is kind of trim the edges like that. You can't tell much of a difference on mine because most of mine are similar sizes, but that is what you can do. But this is all for the activity that I have for you today. So it was super fun. Again, as I said multiple times, it is super easy, but it is also super fun, and you're gonna make a little zebra out of it. So I will be putting pictures in the comments below of my finished product, as well as I will leave the flyer for everything you need in case you forget. But thank you guys for watching. This was such a fun activity, and I hope you have an awesome Wednesday as well as the rest of the week.